I've spent a lot of my life highlighting the problems of this world, and I'm ready to now highlight the solutions. This video just was so compact with all the points that matter so much to me, and so it was just really inspiring and touching to see this.
Yeah.
Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. It is a impromptu recording for me tonight because I'm so inspired to share this video that I saw on Facebook the other day. It was about a woman named Nora who lives in Israel and was called to a busy part of Tel Aviv, I believe, in the middle of the night because a baby bat had fallen down and there was a bunch of bats circling it in the area, and so someone called this woman who owns a bat sanctuary. Now, while I was watching this video, they talked about the bats of Israel, and so I was like, oh, is this a thing? Like, there's bats are really common in Israel, I guess. Anyways, I'm watching, she's handling this baby, she's holding the baby up and making it move so that it's making sound so that the mother hears the baby's call and comes to her hand. But one thing that really stood out to me here was that they said, bats see humans as very large and dangerous, and they wouldn't dare land or approach a human. So for the mother to attempt to get that baby, she had to trust this human to get to this baby. I thought that was really interesting because how many of us have or do or had see bats as really kind of nasty, gross, dark, maybe evil, dirty creatures. Bats have a bad rap, right? Like, no one likes bats. No one likes bats. Who likes bats? Do you like bats? Like, what is your experience or relationship in relation to bats? So when I read that, when the video mentioned that, like how much courage it would take this bat to get its baby, it would have to land on something that it was so terrified of. And I just thought that was like so remarkable because how what's the word? How much we have neglected and abused nature because of our relationship and how we see creatures like bats. A side story here is, after watching this video, I was so touched, I was so moved by what I saw that I went and looked into the sanctuary in Israel, and I looked into the bats of Israel because I wanted to know. And the only thing I could find when I did a quick search was in the 1950s, the Israeli government decided to start fumigating caves to decrease the bat population. So I'm not sure if in Israel they felt like the bats were too much, it was overpopulated with bats, they wanted less bats around, so they started fumigating caves, any cave, not really knowing the species of bats that was in there, not really knowing what else lived in there, and just started, indiscriminately fumigating caves. And the population, I think they said, declined by like 80%, 90%. It was like something really drastic. But one of the things that was really interesting was that they said that because of that act, moths, some species of moths just exploded in population because adult bats were its main predator. And so because the main predator was being killed, they didn't have this predator to take care of these moths. And so these moths exploded in population, and that led to overconsumption of crops. And so now people had the direct effect and consequences of their actions. So humans fumigated caves, which killed bats, which allowed moths to grow in population, which then caused human crops to fail. These moths were overpopulated and eating all the crops. So it's just a really clear, direct line of consequence, like how our actions affect the interconnection of our reality, of our life on Earth, how everything is functioning in a chain. Everything is serving a function. Everything is supporting the whole, which is a cycle, which is a network, which is like this constant moving of things. And so it was a really cool point to see just from this one video that I learned about how easy it is to actually see the ripple effect that you have when you affect an environment or a species or an animal or a population of some living thing on this planet. It has a ripple effect on the the chain which we're all a part of. You can't just kill the bats without affecting you. Like, you killing the bats has a direct effect on you. You killing the bees has a direct effect on you. You killing all the fish, that has a direct effect on you. Also, what I found really interesting from this video was, yeah, just that point of how much our relationship with nature has been so undervalued and neglected, and such an oversight on, for the majority of people. I know that there's a lot of people in this world that see the true oneness and connection that we have with this living planet, that we're actually just one thing, that we're actually just one thing expressing itself in many things, and how valuable every form of life on earth is. And there are people that cherish that and are protecting that and doing whatever they can to ensure its survival. But I feel like majority of the population is unaware of how much our relationship to animals, to nature, to this earth matters, and how much it affects what we do, and how that, either promotes and supports life or disregards it. So she has the baby and the bats are circling, and that was another thing that was really interesting. The bats, it wasn't just one bat, the mother bat, circling. There was many bats there kind of checking in on this pup and making sure it was okay, and trying to, it was there. It wasn't alone. It was like, it's not like this point of, oh, you have one mother and father and those are the only two people that are supposed to care about you. It's like, no, actually, it takes a village, it takes a community, and a whole species of animals can actually care about one baby. And I just think we have so much to learn from the bats, because not all of our babies, not all of our human babies are cared for on this planet. Some of them go without food every day. Some of them go without love. Some of them go without housing. Some of them go thinking they don't matter, and that is a tragedy, and that's something that we need to change. And so the mother landed, and I thought that was an amazing example also of overcoming fear and willing to do whatever it takes to get to that child. And so it's like that connection, that love, that bond a mother has to a child transcends species. It's not just a human thing. It's a bat thing. It's an elephant thing. It's a dog thing. It's a bird thing. Like, we see that in nature. It's inherent in the nature of Earth that is expressed in so many ways and so many species, that bond and that connection of a mother and the child. It was just so lovely to see. Another dimension, or another point that they mentioned in this video, was that at one point someone walked by, and this is kind of related to how we looked at bats, but someone walked by and called Nora a witch. And this goes towards the whole like cultural programming, religious programming, again, whatever our relationship is towards nature. It's like we can't recognize, like, for someone to see a human being helping out a bat and to say that that's a witch thing, like, is just, wow, how disconnected we have become from who we really are, which is the custodians. Like, we are the most evolved species on this planet, and so surely we are the ones to have the helping hands to ensure all species are taken care of. Firstly, all humans, and then bats and all other living creatures and the earth as a whole. Like, we have the power to ensure that life is thriving on this planet, and at the moment we're standing in the way of that. But I just was really like, this video just was so compact with all the points that matter so much to me, and so it was just really inspiring and touching to see this, and to see Nora doing what she's doing, and to hear her story. And I looked at the website and I read into it a bit, and I just was so inspired that there is this place out there, which but it's like really to like give of something to this organization to support it, whether it's donation or sponsoring or making a video to highlight and showcase what they're doing, to draw attention to what they're doing, to share their videos, to give their videos and pages a like. Like, this is all supporting that expression of life, which is custodians standing in a position of responsibility to ensuring that the bat population in Israel has someone to care for them, and to ensure that they are being cared for and getting the proper treatment getting the proper treatment. And I just think that was just so great, and I'm so grateful to be able to share their story. It's just important to me. It matters to me. I find this to be really amazing, and it's important for me to I've spent a lot of my life highlighting the problems of this world, and I'm ready to now highlight the solutions and to show how we can actually support what is already here, what is already implemented, people who are actually already standing in their points of responsibility and uplifting and correcting and changing this world to be a true reflection of humanity. And Nora and the Bat Sanctuary is an example of this. So I'm so grateful to have seen her video and to be able to share a little bit about her and that organization. And so I encourage you to check out their website, give them a like on Facebook if you're so inclined, if you're inspired by the story. Donate. Also, thanks Nora for all your hard work and for what you're doing there in Israel. And thank you, Bats, for also being an example for us humans on how we can be better humans and how we can care for you and ourselves ultimately as a species. And thanks for watching and walking with, and see you next time.
Yes.
Ja. Den noch überkehre, immer. Zizi. Ja.
אני מחברת אותם כאילו ב...
אני יכולה לחבר אותו לבד, אנחנו פשוט דרך בודקים שיש חלל. יואו, זה מדהים. אתם רואים חלב?
כן.
רואים בו?
כן.
הוא תופס?
יא, איזה
עליי.
כיף.